Hey there, welcome to the DFS Build NBA edition. I'm Kevin Roberts, joined with Taylor Smith. So we're getting ready to go over this nice DraftKings main slate. The goal is to help you win some money. We did have somebody hit in the night core slate yesterday, so if you want to get in on that action, you can check that out, as well as other stuff over on Patreon. You can check the link out at the bottom of this video. You can also join us in Discord for free, where we just chat about our lineups and our picks. And we are currently still giving out free DraftKings main slate picks if you want to take advantage of that too. But you can glean a lot about how we feel about the slate just by this free video too. So definitely, if that helps you, that's right, buddy. Hammer that like button and also subscribe to the channel. Both those things help us out quite a bit. And subscribing to the channel gets you alerted to future videos that we do. All right, the way we do it here, we go position by position, looking at all the plays that we like and just talking over even some of the plays we don't like. Like last night, we talked about Paul George, and well, that didn't go quite how we wanted to. But here we go. Luka leading the way as he takes on his former Mavs squad. It's not in Dallas, so it's not true revenge, but it's still revenge nonetheless. How are you feeling about Luka with a 58-point fantasy projection?
Yeah, it's obviously a good spot. Like the Mavs don't have any rim protection without any of their bigs available. And Luka finally showed up in the last game, kind of looking like his old self after being a bit tentative through his first 3 or 4 games with the Lakers. So it's easy to feel confident. And he's 10-5, so he's underpriced relative to where we're used to seeing him, like in the 11 to 12K range. So still uncertainty here. Like, he's still getting used to playing with LeBron and Austin Reeves and everybody else, but motivation shouldn't be an issue. But even if you don't take that into account, he projects well. It's not like the projections take the revenge into account. So I'm good with it. I'm happy to play him anywhere and everywhere. But I'm sure the field will as well. So accounting for that, there are enough alternatives to where I don't think he's a must-play by any means, but it's kind of a scary fate, all things considered.
Yeah, I mean, look at the projection alone, 58 fantasy points, 10 fantasy points ahead of the next guy. Here's the big thing. I want to try to eliminate the narrative. The whole thing about facing the Mavs, that's not nothing. And I think that is the thing. He was like fucking rocked by this trade, okay? It's not a regular trade. He did not think in a million years they were going to trade him. And then like there's all like the extra dirty shit that came out, like him being fat or not like aligning with their culture. There's so much extra shit here. So if you wanted to hang this whole slate on Luka getting revenge, I'd be okay with that. But more so than that, this is the cheapest Luka's ever been, 10.5K. And he's the best projecting play of the entire slate. And also, this guy, like before he got hurt, 2 games before he got hurt earlier in the year, he had a 94-point fantasy outing. You can make jokes about his weight or conditioning, but this last game with the Lakers, 68 fantasy points, is just a nice little reminder that he is still that dude. So in a long-winded way here, I'm saying I love Luka regardless of narrative. And if people are going to look at a seemingly still somewhat limited Giannis, like I'm getting more and more excited about Luka here. I do think Giannis is the better play on FanDuel, where you get rewarded for blocks and steals more, and obviously you don't get the 3-point and like triple-double stuff over at FanDuel. But on DK, like if I'm paying up here tonight, Luka is starting to look like the guy I want to do it. And at 10.5K, he's not egregiously priced either. So I do like him. But like you said, there are other guys. The most notable one is De'Aaron Fox, who continues to be a little bit mispriced. Like when we first were looking at him with no Wemby, he was 7.9 and then 8.2. So now he's priced probably just about right. You could argue he should be a little bit more expensive, but he looks amazing here. And then Devin Booker is in there at 9K, Curry at 8.8K. They're all kind of projecting about the same and priced the same. So if you're not going to Luka, which one of those guys stands out the most to you?
It's probably Fox. Like the role for him with that Wemby is outstanding. He kind of sucked in the last game, but not too concerned about it. They're playing the Pelicans again, so a good matchup even on the road. High total game again as well. So the minutes are safe. I don't think he'll be as own as he's been the last handful of slates with this Luka thing kind of lording over it all. So I like him a lot. I'm okay with Ja Morant. Like the Phoenix-Memphis game is the best game environment to target, highest total on the board. Memphis plays fast. Phoenix doesn't play defense. I think Memphis could completely annihilate them tonight, which is a bit of concern, but I'm still okay with Ja, still okay with Booker at 9K. There's a lot else to pay for. Even Austin Reeves at 8K is not out of play with Luka and LeBron. Like, I don't think anyone's going to play him by default at 8K. Like, it looks like he's overpriced for the role he's going to have with the other two dominating the ball, but he's still involved. And Dallas, like we've said, is not a good defense these days. So I don't have an issue with Reeves. You can make a case for Steph Curry against the horrible, tanking, no good Charlotte Hornets, who might be resting more guys tonight. Donovan Mitchell, even in a bad matchup against Orlando, if Darius Garland is out, is going to look good again. So there's a lot on the high end. Like, you can make cases for guys like Dame and Kyrie, for example, but Luke is the top guy, but there are other alternatives as well out there.
Yeah, I think Austin Reeves is an interesting call just because, like, somebody was talking about this in Discord actually, and I said, yeah, they're asking if LeBron was a bad play. And I said, well, I don't think I'd pair him with Luka necessarily because you might be curbing your upside, although you can pair them because they're both probably going to get 50 plus fantasy points. But like, just in general, if you don't really want Luka, like, LeBron is an amazing GPP play. Austin Reeves is totally in play as a GPP play. Whether or not you want Luka, I think Kyrie is a really good play. I think Kyrie is a really nice comeback because coming at 6% ownership, that seems egregiously low. Like, PJ Washington is questionable. Even if PJ's in, it's just him and Kyrie for the offense for Dallas right now. So Kyrie looks really good. Like, if we're just looking at it in a vacuum, De'Aaron Fox is the best spend up at point guard. He just is. He's got one of the best matchups you can ask for. He's still kind of not that expensive. Massive role with no Wemby. So I think right now I'm looking at it like Luka, Fox, and Kyrie. That's kind of where I'm at. But like you said, man, it is loaded up here. I would not fault you for going for Devin or for going, like Ja Morant, like 8.1K for Ja Morant. That is too cheap, especially when looking at the game environment. But he also really hasn't been that dude this year. Like where are his ceiling games? They just don't exist. Like Memphis is like pretty deep. Like they're deep, and their starting lineup has a lot of dudes who can eat. So I'm with you on the logic there. But the three guys I mentioned before are the ones I'm prioritizing. As we go down here, like, there are definitely other guys that are just getting completely overlooked. Amon Thompson, his price has dipped back down to 8.4K. I don't really see anybody in Milwaukee stopping him. He's a really good overlooked play here. Scotty Barnes at 8.6K, not really as interested, but his price has come down from 9.2. So if Boston does their thing where they just like let the team hang around, I don't think that is a terrible play. What are your thoughts on those guys? And then let's trickle it down to the value that you like here.
I think Derek White's a pretty good play. Like, Boston in general is in a pretty good spot at Toronto. High total. There's always blowout risk when it's Boston against anybody, but like you said, they do have the occasional habit of letting teams hang around, and they are on the road, and Toronto has been playing a little bit better lately with Quickly. They're essentially healthy except for Pearl, so full squad essentially for them. And with Drew out, everyone gets a boost. Pritchard, Derek White, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown all look better. Even Al Horford, if he's in, is okay. Don't ever feel good about Al Horford, but I think White's a pretty good mid-range play. And then Pritchard is the guy I'm getting to the most of any point guard on the entire slate at 5'2". Doesn't start in this scenario. They're trying to keep the powder dry on that for his sixth man of the year chase, but the minutes are still going to be safe. Toronto, not an imposing defense. Good per minute guy. He has shown ceiling in these scenarios all year long. So at 5'2", I'm getting a ton of Pritchard, and I feel pretty confident about it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. He is currently a core play for me on the day. So nice to see that we're aligned. His price has even come down. It was like up to like 5.9 before, and now it's 5.2. Too cheap. He's going to have just way more usage, way more court time, and everything you said checks out. Jose Alvarado is a good pivot, but I think I actually like the idea of just pairing them because right now there's not a lot of value. He's got the same good matchup he had the other day against the Spurs. So that looks nice. And he's just been really consistent. Like, he had that one game where we all used him and he just completely flatlined. But since then, he's been really, really good. So as long as he keeps starting, don't see why he wouldn't. At 5.5K against the Spurs, I think he looks awesome just as a value. Obviously, if things open up to where we don't have to go play a 5.5 Alvarado, fine. But right now, he looks good. I mean, I don't love it, but still no Suggs. Cole Anthony, he's technically still in play here, 5.3K. The Cavs are not the most friendly matchup, but it is at home. He still has that same role. Cleveland can be very good defensively, but they also can be prone to weird shootouts. So even though it's the Magic, it just would be so fitting for Cole Anthony to completely bust against the Wizards for 8 fantasy points and to come right back around against the Cavs and just nuke, right? So I wouldn't take him out of my player pool. I think he is definitely going to be completely overlooked when looking in that price range with Jose and Pritchard. So he still looks good to me a little bit. Like he's third in the pecking order between those guys, but I would not
Who is
ignore
that?
him.
Sorry, I was tuned out.
Cole Anthony.
Okay, I think
Like,
I'll have Pajemski ahead of him.
Yeah, like I don't want to play Cole Anthony, and I agree. Pajemski's a better play, projects better, gets more minutes, a little bit more expensive, but I'm just saying, let's not ignore Cole just because he completely killed our spirit the other day. Yeah, Pajemski looks good. Moses Moody, is he point guard, small forward, or shooting guard, small forward? Maybe shooting guard.
I don't know.
I don't see him in here right
shooting
now.
guard, small forward.
Okay,
He's
so we'll
not
get to him in a little bit,
projecting
but
very
yeah.
well, so.
The thing with the Warriors, like obviously massive blowout risk against the Hornets, but it's a good spot. So 5.9K pod, I'm on board with that. Plus, he's one of the guys that like might get deeper run even in a blowout. Him and Moody specifically. So with all those guys said, is there anybody else down low at point guard that you're feeling tonight?
I think you can roll the dice on Chris Paul again. Just the role without Wemby is expanded. He's been really shitty the last couple of games, but they've had a couple days off, so I think he's going to be okay. He's still 5,800, so this entire 5 to 6K range is pretty stacked point guard.
Yeah,
Pritchard is my preference. Alvarado, I'm with you. Jemski as well, and then Paul will be fourth in that group. It's still viable. Other than that, there's not a whole lot else I like on the cheap side. I'm really not going to punt. Like, unless value opens up, like Charlotte is a team that could have Elfrid fucking Payton again, but let's not do that ever again in our entire lives.
Yeah, we're very much aligned here. Let's move it over to shooting guard, where some of these guys are going to trickle over. We have Devin Booker leading the way with a 47-point fantasy projection. We talked about him and De'Aaron Fox. They both look great. If you want to play him, my lean is towards Fox, but Booker's going to be way less owned, so there's that. He's also, I mean, they're both in really good game environments, so like we can keep saying that, but I don't think it matters that much. Jaylen Brown looks good, 7.7K, really nice projection, nice matchup against the Raptors. He's cheaper than both those guys. So at shooting guard in particular, if you want to save 1,000 or more and just go play Jaylen Brown over Booker and Fox, I don't have a problem with that at all. Donovan Mitchell's fine, but I don't want to do that. I don't like anytime you don't have to go play a guy just to get different when they're in a terrible spot. I just don't want to do it. Like I know the price is good, and if like Garland's out, Mitchell would be really good again. But I just don't want to play him on the road against the Magic when there's just really good plays like right around his price range. Desmond Bane is getting to the way too cheap territory, 7.1K in a really good spot. Like him a lot. Trey Murphy, his price does not budge that much. Even went down $300. So why don't you touch on which guys you like here? Like all these guys look really, really good.
Yeah, Brown. I think Bane's my favorite. Like you said, the price is too cheap. They're playing Phoenix, so great spot. Best game on the slate. So getting a lot of him, feel good about it. Jaylen Brown, same thing. Without Drew Holiday, Donovan Mitchell, like we said, is okay. If Garland's out, I'll have a lot more interest. If Garland's in, kind of just a dusting of him. Doe for Austin Reeves, Doe for Trey Murphy. Getting a lot more Zion than Trey as of now, which I feel fine with. Devin Booker, okay enough. I think Bradley Beal is a pretty good play, 6,400. He's back in the starting unit over the past couple games. They're just shuffling the deck chairs on the Titanic with his team, but he's been good on the other side of that Memphis game. Super fast-paced opponent. Still got some gas left in the tank, it appears. So I don't mind Bradley Beal, guard forward eligible, 6'4". Other than that, Pajemski, Pritchard, we talked about. Max Strus would be an okay cheapie. Max Christie, once again, for Dallas. The Mavs side of the game is not going to be very owned, it looks like, but it's a revenge game for old Max Christie, too. Minutes have generally been safe since the trade for him. Is Max Christie, but if he's not going to be very owned, I'm okay with that. And then I think my favorite cheapie here is going to be Vince Williams. I'm hoping something better opens up, but he's 3'6", guard forward, playing minutes off the bench. Not a high ceiling, but he's a viable punt as of now.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Best game environment of the slate, very cheap. He has a role. It's okay. I mean, obviously, he's liable to get you like 10 fantasy points, but you know, you just never know. I hear you on the Christie thing. Wish he was starting. I think he didn't start the last two.
It seems like they shuffle a lot, so I don't know. It's hard.
If he starts 5.1K Max Christie, that's a lock for me. I love that. I just don't like that his role's been a bit wonky the last two games. They did get blown out the last time, I think, or the game at least was a blowout. I can't remember which side, but point is, he has a good price.
Golden State.
Okay, so he's in play, but I would prefer him to start. The other guy I wanted to touch on, I'm not seeing him actually. Well, I did want to say one thing. The nice thing about Jaylen Brown also is you can use him at forward, where like somebody like Desmond Bane, as awesome as he looks, shooting guard only. Don't love that. I think like if I'm just looking at like the total package, De'Aaron Fox is probably the play here. But if we want to look at value, Jaylen Brown and Desmond Bane are really hard to get away from. Not seeing anybody else that I absolutely have to call out.
What the hell happened to Devin Vassell? He's been a complete overshow
terrible
the last 4 games.
Oh, the thing I want to say about Beal, you're right on, man. Like I don't want to be sucked into Beal or like sway anybody any other way. But here's the thing with Beal: if you actually watch him play, he still looks like quite springy, quite quick. Like he can play.
He's only
still.
like 31. I feel like he should be older, but he's not old.
Well, I feel like there's this like negative connotation about him where like people think like he's just like a scrub now. They benched him because they were sucking and they didn't know what else to do. Like they were trying to
trade him. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that too. But I think they were like more than anything, they were they're probably trying to anger him into waiving his no trade clause. That's probably exactly what it was. Mm-hmm. But either way, he can still play. I don't love that like KD and Booker eat up most of the usage there. But great game environment, good price, and he's starting big minutes, projected for 35. I don't have a problem with it. I don't know if I'm going to land on him necessarily. Like I think I might go Bane just for like $700 more. But he is a good play. All right, at small forward, Jason Tatum leads the way with a 53-point fantasy projection. No Drew isn't like a monster usage shift, but it's not nothing. A little bit more playmaking for everybody out there and just more minutes in general. He looks totally fine. He's not really on, he's not projecting for much ownership here. So that always makes him look a little bit more interesting. Only $300 more. You could get really contrarian with LeBron, who is still picking up a little bit of ownership, but just with Luka and Fox gaining a lot of steam here, I wouldn't be that shocked if LeBron is pretty low owned still. They both look good. I don't have a problem with them whatsoever. Well, I just think I kind of want to get to Luka, and I guess if that's going to be super popular, I'll try to get away from it a little bit. But yeah, they look good. Zion 8.5. I really hate his limit, but he's super hyper productive when he's out there. And the Spurs do not have anybody who's going to stop him. So he's in play. Not a priority for me, but he's definitely in play. And then Jaylen Brown down there at 7.7. I prefer him over Trey Murphy and like Franz Wagner and Amen. Like all these other guys are fine. Like Wagner and Amen, Scotty Barnes, if you want to play them, they're okay. They just don't look as good as somebody like Jaylen Brown or Desmond Bane or even like Zion. These guys just look like better values. So what are your thoughts on spending here for Tatum and LeBron and what other guys you like here?
I'm not getting any LeBron at the moment, which is a bit alarming. I'll probably try to fix that, but just it seems like a Luka spot given the prices between them and obviously the narrative favoring Luka. So I'm okay with that. I don't love LeBron anyway. Like I do think Tatum is a better play without Drew. He gets a usage boost. Zion, love that. Getting a ton of him. Jaylen Brown, my favorite play here overall. And I'm a bit concerned about the blowout, but the price, the role, and everything. Jimmy Butler looks outstanding to me against Charlotte. Really popping off in the numbers I have here. 7,800 playing a big role for his team. We'll see if Charlotte plays their guys. If they don't, the spread's going to grow, and maybe my interest in Butler wanes a little bit. But I do think he's a phenomenal play. If he's not going to be super owned, which I don't think he will be, that's a pretty stacked position at the top. I'm happy to be over the field on Jimmy Butler quite a bit.
Yeah, good price. Nice projection. Don't really have a whole lot of faith in this game staying competitive, so I'm not really getting there myself. I think Jaylen Brown just feels like the better play.
17-point spread, so it's not great.
Yeah, I mean, if you think the game's going to stay close, Jimmy Butler 7.8 is undeniably a value. I think just right now I'm not really going to push my way there intentionally. As we go down here at small forward, like Kuz is out of play for me with Giannis and Dame there. If one of them were ruled out, I think he's still fine at 7K. Not going to really mess with any of these other dudes. We touched on Max Christie. He looks okay here. Najee, if PJ Washington is out, I think he'd be okay at 4.8K. He looked like a good value. Not really seeing a whole lot of value here.
Okay enough, I think.
Who?
Another way to get exposure. Royce O'Neal starting for Phoenix. Not fun to play, but he's shown occasional upside. The starting role is okay. We love the game environment also, and he's cheap. So
It's true.
Not
I tell you one
something I
thing
have a lot
though.
of conviction about. Like he's essentially the same as Max Strus. Like you're not excited to play these guys, but without a lot of obvious smash punt value, I'm okay with it right now.
I tell you one thing though. Where I have faded him. This is right here, that 46, and then the other spots are where I'd play a Royce O'Neal, and that's just the way it goes. That's who he is. He's either going to go absolutely nuclear and hit like every 3 he takes, or he's going to get you like 12 fantasy points. Oh, Moses Moody, I didn't really touch that much on before. I just think I think Moody and Pod, I'm a little bit less concerned about the blowout thing, and they just give me savings. Moody is my preferred option for the Warriors right now at 4.9K. Gets pretty good minutes. I think he might be blowout proof here. And obviously it's a good matchup for him still too. So yeah, maybe Sam Hauser gets an uptick in run here if Al Horford misses. I think he is at 3.9 and okay value. If that happens, could end up starting. Probably not, but either way, I think you'd get a little bit more run and would be an interesting value because they're just shorthanded anyways. They already are missing Luke Cornett and Drew. So a few more minutes to go around. Don't think he's the worst value in the world. Not the best either, but not the worst.
I think
All right.
another like mid-range guy you can look at completely off the board at 5,800 is Rui. Just
Sure.
like he's finding himself wide open a ton because they have Luka and LeBron and Austin Reeves attracting all the attention of opposing defenses, and his minutes are huge. He's playing like
his minutes have been
35 plus
crazy
every night. So in a good matchup, if you're looking for a differentiator in like an otherwise chalky build, I think Rui is a pretty strong play.
Yeah, not carrying any ownership right now. I like that call a lot, and also pretty sure he's power forward eligible, right? Yeah, so nice little versatility there too.
Yep.
All right, so Tatum can be used over at power forward as well. You have Giannis there projecting for a little bit of a minutes limit still, and obviously it's really not the most amazing matchup with the Rockets on the road. I don't know. Like if everybody's going Luka, I definitely don't mind getting a sprinkling of Giannis. I still think he's the play at FanDuel and Luka's the play at DK tonight. Luka's cheaper. Luka has no minutes restriction. Luka projects better. Like the only negative with Luka at all is going to be the ownership. Like if he's going to be egregiously owned, you should entertain leveraging with LeBron, pivoting to Giannis, like that kind of thing. So why don't you give your thoughts? We already know you like Tatum. Why don't you give your thoughts on Giannis and then keep going on as far as who else you like up top at power forward?
Certainly Giannis is always someone you can have in your pool, but as of now, given the way the slate breaks down with Luka at the top and then the mid-range at the forward spots in particular is so amazing with Zion and Jimmy and Kevin Durant under 9K, Jason Tatum in an awesome spot. I just don't really see the need to pay top dollar for Giannis against one of the better defensive teams in the entire league. So this can obviously go horribly awry, but I essentially have zero interest in Giannis once again. Still not necessarily playing full minutes either, and we're not getting a discount on him. So I see why you play Giannis anytime, but I'm just going to take a calculated stand against him again tonight.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I went into the morning looking at this and thinking, I think we probably need to play one of Giannis or Luka, and I was kind of undecided. And as the hours tick by, I'm leaning a lot more towards Luka. I think Giannis is still at ownership a really good tournament play, like amazing tournament play. If he's under 10% owned, that's insane. But as things stand, I am team Luka right now. So KD is interesting at 8.9K, a little bit too cheap. His usage has been taking a hit lately because Beal and Booker are just going crazy. So I'm a little bit worried about that, but I love the price, love the spot. The thing is, like Memphis plays fast, but Memphis is not a good matchup, really. Like Memphis is a good defensive team. They're top 10 in defensive efficiency. So like, is it possible that we are like way too much into Suns and like they just completely bust here?
I think if they bust, it would have more to do with the Suns being a shit team. Like the Grizzlies still, like they're a good defense, but they play so fast that their opponents are still regularly scoring well over 100 points a game. The last time they had a team under 100 was not any time in the last like 2 months. So teams are still scoring on them because they play at such an insane breakneck pace. So, and KD's under 9K, so we're getting a pretty nice discount there, I think. So I understand why you'd fade them. I think it has more to do with the Suns being ass than the matchup being bad. I'm still getting a lot of KD. I'm getting more KD than Beal or Booker for what it's worth, and still getting a decent amount of Royce O'Neal, which feels horrible, but it is what it is. There is other cheap stuff at power forward that I do like. Kelly Olynyk at 4.5 starting for New Orleans once again against San Antonio, second straight game. Love that. Probably a core play for me tonight. And then old friend Santi Aldama at 5,100, just nuking off the bench every night. Low floor, so it can come to an end at any time. Could happen tonight against Phoenix, but he's 5-1.
Sure
He's good per minute. I'm just going to keep playing him because I can never not play Santi Aldama.
As you say in Discord, Santi Hive. I mean, yeah, Santi looks good. 5.1K. It's a good matchup, good game environment. I don't have a problem with it whatsoever. I just think if he's going to gain steam, which he already is, 28% ownership, like pretty okay with getting off of that. And just hoping he doesn't pop off.
You have to have like Ruiz right there for a few hundred more. I think Draymond is an okay play. Given the concerns about that game, maybe not so much, but I don't mind it. And then Horford at 4-2 if he's starting is fine. Horford just, I don't know. He doesn't really have much of a ceiling, and if he's going to be owned, it's not something I'm dying to do.
Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything else here that we have to do. But yeah, Kelly Olynyk is the best value at this position at 4.5.
If you're looking for like a straight line pivot from Aldama, I think Keldon Johnson is perfectly fine. Like he's
a good play.
Aldama or exceeding him. So
oddly enough,
skews heavily toward Aldama. I think Keldon's pretty good.
Oddly enough, he seems more trustworthy than like CP3 or Castle or Vassell. Like I would much rather play like those guys, except for Chris Paul. Like Vassell and Castle, their price tags have been spiked because of this matchup. Like they were priced up for the same matchup the other day, and it really hasn't moved. So if I'm playing a Spur, it's probably going to be Keldon Johnson or De'Aaron Fox. All right, let's move it over to center to wrap things up. Yeah, honestly, it's the way there. KD, we already talked about. What is your interest in Şengün at 8.5K? Certainly a good price.
Yeah, I don't love the spot. I feel like taller defenders give him issues, and Lopez is still very good around the rim. So I understand why you play Şengün. I just kind of feel like he gets lost in the shuffle with all the other mid-range plays. We've talked about Zion, Butler, Kevin Durant. I much prefer for 400 more. So he's okay. But VanVleet could be back, which could hit his usage a little bit. So if Houston's at full strength, I'm not dying to play Şengün.
Yeah, I agree. I think KD is definitely the better play there. I think paying up for Giannis is a better idea. And then also going down to Porzingis at 7.5K, definitely prefer that. Save 1,000. PJ Washington's going to be in play if he's in at 7.4. JJJ, you get access to that game for not that much money at 7.7. I think all those guys are better than Şengün. The nice thing about Şengün, you would think, is that he wouldn't be owned. Right now he's picking up some ownership here, which is a little bit surprising. I'd much rather play Porzingis than him on this slate. We already talked about Kelly, great value at 4.5K. Are there any other values here at center that you have your eye on?
I kind of like Jackson Hayes. Like the
I
Mavs
do too.
Do not have a center right now. He's 4,500.
Hey, by the way, in the name of Kevin Huerter, we are aligned. He smashed last night.
Yeah, that was a weird scenario. Like he started because Kobe White had an injury pregame, and then Lonzo Ball got hurt, so he started the second half. But yeah, he completely nuked, and it was quite a sight to see.
We got a little lucky there, but hey, sometimes that's what
Jackson Hayes, though, like Dallas has no bigs. Hayes certainly has a low floor. Like, the minutes have been kind of wild. He's Jackson Hayes, so he's not going to get a lot of usage for this team. But if Olynyk's mega chalk, which I feel like he might be, Hayes is right there for $100 less. I think Zach Edey is a similar case. Minutes are volatile, but great per minute guy. We've seen ceiling from him every now and then, so Edey will be a guy I'm into a little bit. Beyond that, Jared Allen at 6'2", I think is pretty good. Regardless, Orlando's certainly a good defense, but 6'2" is pretty cheap for Allen. He's capable of showing upside as well. So if he's completely unowned, which I assume he probably would be, I think Allen would be my favorite kind of mid-range center.
Yeah, nothing wrong with him except for the fact that I hate that game. I want nothing to do with it. So I really like Jackson Hayes, though. Like normally I wouldn't, but Dallas doesn't have anybody. All they have is PJ Washington. So I think he could clean up with a lot of rebounds, get some blocks, some easy buckets. At 4.4K, you can do worse for sure. I don't think you need to necessarily get off of Olynyk to use him either, because Kelly, I think, Kelly's power forward eligible, which is awesome. So you can just play them together if you want to get some savings. All right, that does it for the position by position breakdown. let's end things with our general strategy and our flag plant of the night.
Yeah, so I don't think paying all the way up for Luka is an absolute must just because the mid-range is so rich. Building around Zion and Kevin Durant and Jaylen Brown, stuff like that. Desmond Bane is perfectly fine on this slate. So if people are going to chase the Luka narrative, I don't think you absolutely must play him, even though it is quite a horrifying fade, especially in the last game of the night. But I think balance build is pretty sneaky, so that's something I'm interested in doing. We'll see if more value opens up and it makes the kind of stars and scrubs thing a bit more appealing. But I guess my flag plan as of now would be Jimmy Butler. I just feel like per the low ownership he's going to get, I'm going to be pretty easily over the field on him. I'm not going to play him at like a 70% clip, but I do think Butler has room for growth on that salary.
Yeah, like same point as I said before. As far as salary goes, like I have no problem with them. I just don't. I definitely fear the blowout in that situation for sure. Like I really find it hard to get away from Luka at this price. Like it's not even about the revenge thing for me anymore. It's just like it's if Luka's back, he had 68 fantasy points in his last game. If Luka's back, he's just really, really hard to get away from. That said, if I'm running a lot of lineups, I want to be way overweight on Giannis. I think it's crazy where his ownership is at right now. So that is definitely one thing I would do. I really don't have a true flag plant for this slate. Like as far as like telling you to play somebody that isn't already gaining steam. Like I was going to say Bane, but he's already kind of chalky. I think the only other thing I would do is I would definitely have interest in, because Luka's going to be owned, I would have interest in getting somebody from the Dallas side that maybe isn't going to be owned, or getting another Laker to pair with to close out the slate. So I think like a Kyrie versus Luka to hammer this slate down would be kind of cool. So that's something I would look at for sure. But nothing else like a lot of the other guys. Like I like a lot of the chalk, and like Luka is one of the chalky plays. It just happens to shake out that way. But as you know, we could get some big news. Like there's been like no news yet, which is very suspicious for sure. So certainly the second we upload this video, there will be some monster news that changes everything, like Giannis and Dame being ruled out or something stupid like that. But anyways, hopefully this does help you out. It certainly helps us with our process, helps make it a little bit more clear as to which plays we like, and then that can shrink your player pool, and that can kind of lower the risk of having bad plays in your lineups. But hopefully it helps. If it does, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and come join us in Discord where you can get free advice and our DraftKings core plays leading into lock. Thanks for watching, and good luck.